What's up guys, Cloudie here checking in from the America server, and in this video we are gonna be looking at Scarlet after the March balance patch that just hit the servers today. Let's see what the update did to her. In my opinion, she's easily hands down the winner of this balance patch, having received the most buffs in my opinion. She's definitely even more scary in PvP now, going from a one-trick pony nuker to a fairly bruiser type character who can still nuke your ass really fast. So let's see what Vespa did to her. Now, first and foremost, they don't really mention this anywhere in her skills, but her auto attacks are dealing AoE damage now. It says a wide area damage at a certain attack range. Like, thank you Vespa for the description. And this does about 20% of her normal attack damage. So she does cleave damage now. The range is similar to that of Chase when he's in his S2 form. If you are in PvP, pretty much everyone in melee range will be hit. And this will also tie into her S4, which received an update. So yeah, she is a cleave hero now, which is quite interesting and makes her even scarier, especially when facing off against other bruisers. And she seems kinda made to be facing other bruisers also, although she does not have any ignore defense skills. But let's see what they have changed on her skills here. So attacks of frontal enemies, deals knockdown, heals her own health. So this was already part of her kit. What changed here was that they replaced step 3 of her skill book to give her increased damage, and the target takes increased physical damage part has been baked into the skill itself. So that was change number 1 on her S1. And afterwards, this is also new, places consecrated ground for 4 seconds. Allies in consecrated ground have their attack increased by 25% and crit chance increased also by 150% or 15%, sorry, so 150. Additionally, enemies within range have their depth penetration reduced and all block reduced. So this kind of seems to be made to be countering bruiser teams, especially like the depth penetration. Well, that could be like Gao or say Rebel Claws. If you can knock Rebel Claws out of ignore defense stats, that could be like quite interesting, but you will not get this off without before he does his auto attacks, so you kind of have to survive at least the first set of them. Well, let's look what her other skills do. So Justice Served, this one hasn't really received too much of an upgrade at all. They have reduced the cooldown to 15 seconds, but it has received the second part. Now this is activated when she is using her soul weapon, so this skill is changed for 1 use, and in this case it will kind of use both the perks that she has for the base skill. So it will increase the crit resistance of your entire team for 10 seconds, and it will also reduce the attack speed for everyone that it hits. It will also bring a stun, and the damage seems, yeah, the same, so the damage stays the same. Yeah, so but also this attack always hits, so you cannot dodge this anymore. It will always hit you. That's quite interesting. Now this skill can be activated anytime after the soul weapon has been activated. It will be the next use of your S2. It doesn't reset the cooldown of it or anything, but it will remain there as long until you use it. So that's quite interesting, and yeah, definitely quite strong. Now, perhaps the most interesting change is to her Sword of Honor, her S3. So hits the frontline enemies twice, stunning them and dealing damage, and afterwards fires 2 additional sword waves dealing more damage, and this will affect enemies in a straight line and also stun them. Now the range of this seems to be similar to that of Dark Castle S1. It will not hit the most backline heroes, I believe, from what I could see in my testing, but those in the middle of the battlefield will still be hit. So this is pretty strong, especially when we will look at her perks, because those make this skill even more useful, which is gonna be quite nice. And then Goddess of War, this again is one skill that has received a pretty big buff. Also, Sword of Honor has received a cooldown reduction, which is important to know. Now, Goddess of War increases all crit resistance by 300, so this used to be a part of a perk, but now she gets it baseline, which is pretty nice. Normal attacks have a chance of dealing additional damage and inflicting stun. This is all part of it. Now, the new part is that auto attacks and skill uses will give her a stack called Spirit of Orvelia. And when she reaches 30 stacks, she enters an undispellable state or irremovable state of Blessing of the Kings, which sounds like a very old buff from World of Warcraft, for 15 seconds. And while in this state, she does not gain any additional steps or stacks, so she cannot stack this indefinitely, she cannot stay in this form indefinitely, but for the duration she is immune to CC and reduces all damage taken by 350, so this is toughness that she basically receives. So while she is in this form, she will be even harder to kill. As you can see, she has become quite a bit tankier with these stuff, and still retained her S2 nuke, and her other skills have become quite a bit more interesting. So her S1 does more and her S3 does more too, especially if we do go and look at her perks. So let's do that. S1 mana cost reduced, so this can turn her halt skill into a 2 mana cost spell if you wanted to cast it really fast. S1 Dark dispels all harmful effects from sub. This one is not that interesting, I think, for her. This could be if you wanted to cast it really fast. In certain situations that might be good for her. Now let's see, her Justice Served light skill was not changed, so this is still an attack speed reduction debuff on all enemies. Her Dark skill was, however, changed. It was upgraded from 200 crit resistance to 250, so this affects all allies, and together with her 300 baseline on herself, and if you were to pick this, she's like 500 is the soft cap for crit resistance, but you can go above it, of course. So she can easily go above soft cap crit resistance, and if you use this perk, then she will give some to her teammates as well, so that's quite nice. It means it will be really hard to actually land crits on Scarlet. And then we come to her S3 perks, where they changed her light perk, that it destroys the target's shield. Now what you need to know about destroying target shield is that this is not a dispel, so it's not like say Leo's S3 that just removes the shield or dispels the shield and other buffs. This is specifically targeted at shields, and even undispellable shields can be removed with this. Yeah, so for instance, if you are facing a Shamila or Lucy kill, or of course Evan with his undispellable shield, this will just get rid of it. It's gone. And for that, she has become a very powerful tool against bruiser teams who will often rely on these irremovable shields, so they can smash your face in while you can't really hurt them. So yeah, this skill alone makes her a very powerful counter to those type of setups, and her other buffs will also make her a lot stronger. Her S3 Dark didn't change. This is still a health reduction. So I would usually run with the shield removal if I was to run her in PvP. And then let's get to her Goddess of War S4. So the light skill was changed, that the crit resistance was baked into the main skill, or the extra crit resistance. And now if you take this one, she will start the battle with 15 stacks of her Spirit of Orvelia, which means like a few autos, they say 2 autos, and 1 skill cast will get her into her Blessing of King state, where she is CC immune and takes less damage, so she can get there really fast in a battle, which means she should be harder to kill. Now these are the perks I think will work for her the most part. I do not have extra TP on her. If I did, I would probably consider either this. Remember, you don't really want to get crit by her, by anyone if you are running her, and you will have a lot of crit resistance, so maybe this isn't really that good on her, considering you can have like serious amounts of crit resistance on her. it could be worth against someone like a Seria who always crits, or like an Ophelia who have those kind of perks, because that if you survive the first hit, especially with Seria who doesn't ignore defense on her first hit, then this would be like stopping them in their tracks and giving them a mini stun and dispel. So that could be interesting for those kind of encounters. Otherwise, there is of course her light perk, and you could also go with any of her tier 2 perks, which would be also useful, or you could get like mana reduction on this one. But I think this will be like the template that I would probably go with if I was to use Scarlet. Now let's see, her unique gear has received a bit of an update too. So for instance, when she is now, so this used to be the base part of it, and now for the duration of the Blessing of Kings, she increases death penetration, and this goes actually up all the way to 500. So that means that once she has entered her CC immune form, she will be receiving 500 death penetration on top. That means she doesn't ignore defense, but she's gonna be ignoring a lot of armor, which is kind of, so no, she doesn't ignore defense, she just ignores the defense. Yeah, so not quite ignoring defense, but she gets a lot of penetration, so she will be hitting harder even on people who have a lot of defense on them. So she is gonna be countering those bruiser teams quite nicely, I think. On top of that, her unique treasure 3 was also changed, so this no longer has the what you call it, the stun in the UT3. It increases the damage now and reduces the cooldown, which could be a thing if you were running her against teams where you will be needing to dispel a lot of shields. Then this might be better because it reduces the cooldown of her shield removal skill as well. Otherwise, if you are going for the nuke, then of course her UT2 treasure, unique treasure, is still quite nice, especially as it also reduces the cooldowns of your other heroes as well. So you could go with either, really, I think. Yeah, it's kind of up to you depending on your playstyle or what you think you will be going up against. Now they have changed her soul weapon a little bit as well. Let's see what they have done there. So go to manage soul weapon. So what it does is, after using skills 5 times, which can be quite a long duration in a PvP battle, you will summon the soul of the weapon for 8 seconds, increasing own attack by 50%, and dispel positive effects of the enemy with the highest attack and dealing damage to them. For once after use, changes justice served to this is the true might of Orvelia. So as I have mentioned, this will change her S2 into its other form. Now what they have also changed here, so this is the edit part, this whole dispels positive effect from the highest attacker and changing the S2. Now if you go to advancement phase 1, then it increases the duration and changes skill activation requirements to 4 times. So now you only need to cast skills 4 times. That's pretty nice. That's a lot more manageable, or you can get there a lot faster in PvP as well. So technically you just have to go through her skills once in a rotation and then cast once more. And then advancement phase 2 increases damage by 70% upon the use of the soul weapon skill, reduces cooldown of Scarlet skills by 50%. So yeah, so it's like halving her cooldowns while she is getting a pretty big attack buff, and it will also hit the highest attacker in the enemy team, which can be quite nice. Now if you look at the damage of this skill, so right now we have like 150,000 attack because she's not built for that, and if you check out the damage of the skill, this is like 900k damage, but that's a very low attack number for any kind of DPS in the game. So let's give her a little bit of attack. I should have an earring here somewhere, stealing it from my Serio. So we went up to 260k attack, so we gained like 100k there. And if you check the damage now, this is now 1.5 million damage. So 100k damage gave us like, or attack gave us like 500k damage on this one. Now if you extrapolate this to like an A220 Scarlet who runs around say 500,000-600,000 attack, which is reasonable for a tanky character who is built to be tanky, then this is gonna be hitting pretty hard. Remember, this can also crit, and she gets a 50% attack buff during, and if she's A2 she gets a 70%. So technically if she lives to use skills 4 times in a row and gets her soul weapon off, chances are she will kill your highest attacker just with that. So yeah, interesting stuff. I think definitely Scarlet has become again a force to be reckoned with in PvP, and not just for that single nuke, because both her S1 and S3 are pretty powerful now. Let's also look at her skills just to see how they look like and how they behave in combat. So here we are with the training dummy. You can see she started with 15 stacks, and because it's a single enemy, those stacks are going up. She's also applying her debuff, and there is no animation for her entering this blessing of King state. It's just that you can see the buff appear on her, and in this time she doesn't generate any stacks any longer. And now it expired, so she's doing it again, and using her skills will grant her the buff again. You can see she just entered the state, no animation. And also in this patch, the animations of her skills were updated. I quite like actually both the S1 and S3, but S2 looks quite nice too. You can see this consecration around her after she casts S1, and if we cast her soul weapon, now you can see that the icon of her S2 changes. So this is now the true Might of Aurelia skill, which if we use gets a fairly different look. Now, as said, you do not have to use it within the soul weapon being up. It changes the skill for that one use permanently. So for the next use she can use the S2 just like that, but it also doesn't reset the cooldown of it. So we will try and see if we can get it on cooldown. Wait for this one, maybe not that one, and then cast the soul weapon and see that her S2 will be on cooldown even when we want to use it. So we use it right before the soul weapon, and you see that the icon changed, but we cannot use it actually. But it doesn't matter if our soul weapon expires. In the meanwhile, we can still just use the extra version. You can see this is still the true Might of Aurelia, and if we wait to use it, then it will be casting that extra version of it. So yeah, that's it really, guys. I think Scarlet has really become quite powerful. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not looking forward to be facing them like truly tanky Scarlets who can also decimate your team with those S2 nukes and meanwhile counter bruisers too. If she has the damage to actually take down a very powerful bruiser setup, then she will definitely be able to counter those. That's where she may or may not be able to shine. But if she combines her S2 nuke with her soul weapon nuke, then it could be that she actually just rips through everything and yeah, just does so much damage that you can't recover from that. So that is my take on Scarlet. I went to spy on Casual Gamer because he's of course one of the well-known Scarlet users, but seems he has not been on for like 2 days now and hasn't updated his build yet. I'm looking forward to seeing his build and how he manages with Scarjo. Of course, I would love to not actually run into him, because that's gonna be a little bit painful. So yeah, that's my take on Scarlet after her buff. I definitely think she has become very strong, and yeah, let me know what you guys think. For now, this has been Cloudie, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.